Hi, I'm Rhonda Buss, and welcome to a brand new episode of So Busted's Material Witness. And I'm really excited today. I'm in Chicago. I haven't traveled anywhere for this video, and I am with Sarah McIntosh, and she has a wonderful school here in Chicago, and I will let Sarah tell you a little bit about it.
Hi, I have my school is the Chicago School of Shoemaking. I started out as a shoemaker back in 1974 when I was living a self-sufficient lifestyle and needed a pair of shoes. So the mindset was there to at least try and make it myself. So I took apart an old pair of shoes to see how they were made and was able to replicate that with some leather very rudimentarily, all hand sewn, all hand done, and saw the possibilities of being able to make shoes for other people. And I think my ability as a pattern maker and being able to translate 2-dimension to 3-dimension was really very important in my ability to fit other people's feet. So I love teaching that technique to other people now.
And Sarah also has a real desire to live a sustainable lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so at one point, she lives in Chicago now, so I don't think you have a cow anymore.
I did.
No.
I did. My cow Blossom did not get turned into leather I used. I couldn't do that. But anyway, yeah.
But she lives in Chicago now, so the cow is history, sadly. But one of the things, when she came here, she really wanted to start a school and start passing on her knowledge. She was at a point in her life where she felt it important to be able to share all that she's learned. And since then, you've had some wonderful success stories.
Yes, yes. In fact, we were just on the Today Show about 2 weeks ago. So we had national coverage
with a real
there.
celebrity today.
Anyway, I found a great love for teaching once I opened the school and realized that the delight that I could offer people in making their own shoes and making leather goods that they never had access to before, that knowledge. So this has been very rewarding for me, and then I meet people in my classes that end up being instructors for us. I mean, there's just a community that's really built around the school.
And just I'll interrupt, the voices that you hear in the back is there is a handbag workshop going on while we're doing the workshop, or while we're doing the interview. And I'll just move to the side a little bit as well, and you can see a little bit of the leather pieces that are displayed. And one of the things that I love about coming here is when you walk in the door that you're just hit with this fabulous smell of leather. But one thing that is very interesting that Sarah does is that you use a non-toxic glue.
Yes, on the workbenches we use a water-based glue so that when people put things together, it's not a permanent fix, that they can either sew it then or put some rivets in to hold things together. And then when we do use the heavier duty glue for the soles of the shoes, I have an exhaust system that takes the fumes away from the maker. So that's very important to me. I've met other leather workers and shoemakers who said, oh, I had to give it up because I got sick.
Right.
You know, you should have thought about that a long time ago.
But the thing is it hasn't been that many years that people have realized.
Yeah, truly. Although when I went home with a headache every night, that kind of was a clue to me that I needed to not be standing over a pot of glue that was toxic. So, but I've just made decisions along the line to make sure that my work was sustainable, my life was sustainable, and all that. So I encourage those practices amongst my students as well.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I'll be doing another video with one of her success stories. Mm-hmm. And would you like to tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, Johans is, I would consider him my mentee or protege.
And let me just interject. I came for the very first time this past summer and took a tennis shoe workshop, and that's where I met Johans and had a blast creating something that I typically would never have created for myself, and it was two full days of a lot of work, but it was very rewarding and a lot of fun. So no,
And you
yeah,
made some sneakers.
I made sneakers.
Yeah, right. And that workshop was introduced by some people from the Netherlands. So they came and showed us the technique with the cup soles. And so we adapted that and became the U.S. distributor of that
Oh, how fascinating!
class and the kits that can come out of that. So, and then when Johan saw what the possibilities were, and he, as a designer, said, I'd like to partner with the school and produce some sneakers. So we've been working on that.
Very nice, very nice. So you'll hear more about his story in our next video. But there are just some lovely, lovely pieces that you can come to the school and make. You want to tell us about? I especially love this little bag, and you can. It's hard. The
Yeah.
leather is hard, and it has this wonderful little clasp.
This would be our molded vegetable tanned leather class. So when there's certain types of leather that can be wet molded, and people would be making masks out of this or do the tooling out of this type of leather. It's called vegetable tan leather. It doesn't have the same qualities as the type of leather that you would use to make a pair of boots.
I'll
But
show you the boots.
but-
These are just
yeah,
fabulous. And you can actually take a class and learn to make these here.
Yes, you can. We do that. Right now we teach tall boots once a year, but also once a month we teach a class to make a pair of desert boots, so you can understand the construction of a pair of shoes. And even if you're not tuned into making, wearing desert boots all the time, at least you understand how to make that type of shoe, and then that will translate to other styles. But we. Most of the time, we're teaching people how to work with leather in different projects, and so they might want to come in and make,
I love this because the
a
writer
journal
in me.
cover. And again, we're going to be steering students to using the proper leather for the proper project.
Now, is this hand stitched?
Yes, that's hand stitched. So we pre-punch
look
all
at-
of those holes and then teach you how to do a double needle saddle stitch, which is the most traditional stitch technique for the leather world.
And look how perfect this is. I love perfect. But there is also a little bit of
A little bit of stamping on there. I wouldn't call it tooling. Tooling is more about shaping the leather into a picture, and just using the stamp on here to kind of decorate the leather would be called stamping.
yeah, very interesting.
Yes.
And there's
And we've
even
burned our logo on
a
the
logo
back.
on the back,
Yeah.
which is very nice. I want to go back to this little thing. This is so Game of Thrones.
right. Just hang it on your belt.
And you can hang it right on your belt, and it's just lovely.
It's
and
a little cute thing. So we make a mold out of wood in order
how
to stretch
interesting.
the leather over that. And then once that's dry, we remove it and then create the back and the flap.
So do you actually wet the leather? Soak
Yeah,
the leather, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then
And then clamp the mold over it.
interesting. And what would the drying process? How
Probably
long?
about 48 hours to completely dry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, and she does have one that is a larger version of this, but this was just so cute. I just loved it.
Yeah.
And so, and then we also have, she's a cobbler, and you've been a cobbler for over 40 years,
Yes,
right?
yes, since 1974.
That's amazing. And I'll show you this shoe here. And I love anything with an ankle strap.
Yeah.
And this has a really
sauce.
sweet little ankle strap. So a little bit of a Mary Jane,
Yep.
kind of, sort of. And with a nice rubber sole on it and the stitching on the vamp of the shoe. It's really just quite lovely. Now, how long of a class would it take?
This would be done probably in a 3-day class. Again, we would work on the pattern in the beginning, and then we would, size it to your foot, and then start building it.
But you do have a 1-day class for sandals.
Yes, a 1-day class for sandals.
So
We're
great
going-
introduction.
Yeah, and we're building those in a little different way. We build them out of paper first.
Oh, how interesting.
And then so people know where their strap placements are, and then we translate that and make them out of leather. So we'll start those up in the spring, probably April of 2019 again.
I just have to tell a story. I think I probably was supposed to be a cobbler because when I was about 8 years old, I decided that I wanted a certain pair of shoes, and there just wasn't any money in my household for what I wanted, and so I got cardboard, and I glued the cardboard all together. It didn't last very long.
But good for you to try this kind of
I
thing.
tried.
Yeah.
So it was really the friend that I came with this summer. I said, do you know this is a lifelong dream come true that I actually finally got to make a pair of shoes of my very own. So
That's delightful.
now Sarah also has something very interesting to show. You want to tell about the exhibit that you saw?
Yes, I was invited to the Oriental Institute at the University of Chicago to see their exhibit and their archives for some sandals that came out of, or footwear that came out of King Tut's tomb. You know, so that was pretty fascinating to me. They didn't even allow me to take photographs because, but there was a book associated with the findings of that, and they sketched out some different kinds of sandals that were in the tomb and duplicated what they thought maybe was the complete picture, because they were pretty gnarled up, you know. And so I made a replica of this to show the Egyptologists there. And I had another one, too, that I think is so fascinating as well, that duplicated the decoration that they had on the side. I'm sure they didn't have rivets, but they had little studs and jewels that they would put on the shoes like this. So just showing a modern version of what was worn back in Egypt time and those early times. And then I want to do workshops with people, you know, who are interested in history and duplicating things like that too.
And
so I'm going to introduce this to the Field Museum to see if their membership would like to, you know.
This actually, so
This one goes with this guy. So there'll be an extra piece of leather on the bottom, and possibly a small heel.
right. So for the modern wear, we could always put a little heel on the back of it, and now when this would get glued together, this would be with the glue that you use, the ventilation and all, so
with
that
the heavier duty glue.
not the water soluble glue, so that when you go out and step in a puddle, it all falls apart. But I wanted to show you with this shoe, all of the lacing here. It's so intricate, and it's just lovely.
And we can
Just
teach you how to
lovely.
do that.
And what's interesting too is I'd like for you to look on the inside, and you can see on the inside how there's very little going on the inside, but there's so much going on the outside, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And then the
This
braided,
is a 4-strand braid that comes down to what we call a terminal knot, and that's how it's attached on the back. And this was actually a photograph that I saw in the book from the exhibit. So we're just finishing that off there to flatten it out. And then there'll be a way to attach this. I haven't figured it out yet, but some way to attach this so that you can go through your toes and have that be a functional sandal.
and then wrap around the ankle. Very, very nice.
It's kind of fun.
This really makes me think back to my little
Yes.
cardboard sandals.
Yes.
But it's really just lovely. So really and truly, if there's something that you want to create in leather, Sarah is your gal. Yes, because one of the things that you do, like being able to do, is help others make their dreams come true.
Yeah, that's really my goal right now, is just to figure out what people really want to be able to do, and then help them achieve that if I can in any way.
That's very exciting. And just before we go, I wanted to show this bag. This is a soft leather bag, but it's
We call it kind of a bowler bag.
it's lovely.
And we can make that in a number of sizes.
with the zipper, and then the handles are sewn on, and then the rivets help to hold them, so that those of us that carry actual bowling balls in our bag.
Right.
The bag won't fall apart on us.
Exactly.
And then she can also show you how to do all types of tassels to really give it a finished, polished, lovely look. So the hours that you are typically open?
Well, we hold classes in the evenings mostly during the week, and then on the weekends. We would love to work with people during the week, but we can't always find enough people to fill classes then.
Right.
But every once in a while I do intensive workshops so that people can come from, the West Coast or the East Coast and spend about 2 or 3 days with us to do something.
And you also do private lessons.
Yes, and we do private tutoring here, and you can set it up with me. I offer packages for private tutoring if people like to learn in that way, or figure out how to set up a group class if you have friends that you want to bring. So we're pretty flexible, and if we have the time, we're happy to arrange something with you. We'd love to do big parties, corporate parties. People will teach everybody how to make a tassel or a clutch in the group party, and we'll have maybe wine and snacks on the side too. So there's a lot of
wow,
things we
I
can
love
do.
that. Add wine, you never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
But it really is it's a wonderful, wonderful environment for learning, and one of the things that I really enjoyed about the class that I took this summer is that everything's here. So you literally just show up, and I really didn't know what to expect, and I walked out with a finished pair of tennis shoes with rivets and everything I needed. I could literally walk out the door with my shoes, so it was really quite nice. You have the leather here to
Yes,
choose
we have
from.
lots of different leathers to choose from. We have different machines, and they have servo motors on them so that we can turn the speed down. So don't be intimidated by an industrial machine. If you've used a regular sewing machine, there's a lot of translation.
Right. I remember the very first time I ever used an industrial machine. I thought it was a machine like any other machine, and I remember I pushed when I pushed the pedal down, and it flew off for sure. So when I came this summer, I haven't used an industrial machine for a while, and when I sat down, I just barely started to push the presser or the pedal, and then it barely moved, and I thought, well, okay. And then I found out they had turned it down, which I was very grateful for. So.
I think it's important for students not to be intimidated by the tools, so we've tried to arrange that in our school.
And again, like I said, everything is here. All the hammers, all the hole punches, for putting in rivets, everything that you need, Sarah has it. So she really makes it for a fabulous learning environment, and just for a really happy time where you walk out and you feel like a kid again. So is there anything more you'd like to add, Sarah?
Well, I want to just say how rewarding it is to have a second career in a sense. After I was kind of a solo shoemaker, and I could live anywhere. I could live on a mountain, I could live in the desert, but there were no people around really when I was doing that kind of work. And then to be able to build a community of people who love to make things is just a lovely, lovely feeling. And I just get excited every time people, it just rubs off. When they're excited about making their shoes, I get to be all excited all about that first pair again.
Very nice, very nice. So all of the information will be below on how you can contact Sarah. So if you'd like to arrange a class of your own, if you'd like to come in for a private lesson, or just look at her website and see the array of wonderful classes that she has available, I think it will be an experience that you will love. So thank you so much, Sarah, for joining me today. It's been delightful to get to know you a little bit better, and I'm looking forward to my next project too, so you can stay tuned and see what that might be. It'll have to be something fabulous,
Yes.
I'm sure. So,
Thank you, Rhonda. I really appreciate you including me.
thank you. So until next time, keep on sewing.
Yeah.